Have you ever wanted to make an art portfolio but didn't know how? Do you have an art portfolio but maybe you just feel like it's lacking something? Or maybe you're going to a convention like Lightbox Expo and you're a little worried about sharing your art with other people. If any of those things apply to you, then I'm going to walk you through right now the complete guide on how to make an art portfolio, as I will be doing step by step from scratch building a portfolio with you. So with that being said, make sure to grab your pencil, paper, art supplies, art stuff, and let's get to building. Here we go. By the way, if it's your first time here, my name is Kaycem. I am a professional character designer in the animation industry, and I also I'm out here helping you guys level up your art skills, whether that be creatively, technically, or expressively. So yeah, hopefully today's thing will be helpful. Let's see. But before we actually get into building a portfolio, I think there's an important question that we should ask, which is, why do you need an art portfolio? The main thing I think personally for having a portfolio is to be able to show the best of you as an artist. That's really it. And this is going to apply to you whether you're trying to create a portfolio personally, academically, or professionally. And you'll be surprised because those three things might actually differ, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. If you were making a portfolio just for your personal self, right? Just for you, maybe for your friends or some peers and stuff, a portfolio might not necessarily be tailored to a specific art style or whatever, but maybe you're just trying to keep a catalog of your work, right? You want to keep some of the best work that you want to look at. You want to make it presentable. And there are many ways to create a quote unquote personal portfolio, right? You don't have to make it super complicated. Sometimes, in many ways, actually, your social media can be a portfolio. And in this day and age, I've actually heard a lot of studios and recruiters look at people's social media before they even look at your portfolio, like your actual website and stuff. So all in all to say, if you're trying to create something personal, it doesn't have to be super complicated, but thinking about presenting your best work from a perspective of who might be seeing it could be valuable. Now, if you're talking maybe more of the academic sense, right? Maybe you're trying to get into an art school, you're trying to take a class or something and they require a portfolio. In that sense, maybe what you're trying to showcase is maybe where your skill level is at, right? How well are your fundamentals, and maybe how excited are you to be an artist? Oftentimes, if you're trying to apply to an art school, they want to see that you're actually serious about the craft, right? You're not just randomly trying to apply, but they want to know, okay, well, what have you done already? What are the different things you've explored? Because realistically, going to a school for art is meant to help you explore new things, meet new people, and overall refine your skills throughout that process, right? So they're not really looking for somebody who's already a professional. They're looking more for somebody who is eager to learn. And so thinking about that as well. Now, obviously the last case, but there's many cases, but the last case I can think of is the professional case, which I think many of you have mentioned in the comments, right? Which is to be able to present your work to either clients, to studios, people who are going to be looking for a particular thing, and from that particular thing, seeing if they are going to hire you, right? And whether that's a studio or maybe you're doing commission work or something, I think in this sense, being able to create a good portfolio professionally is being able not only to showcase good work, because good work is good work, but more so about showing whoever is viewing your work that you can do the job that they are asking for. Right? If you're trying to apply for being a character designer in animation, you should have a lot of character designs. If you're looking to do concept art for games, you should have concept art. You know what I'm saying? And so what you want to be able to do is when somebody looks at your portfolio, whether that's again a client, a recruiter, a studio, they want to look at your work, scroll through it, and be able to say, I think they can do the job. And so with all that being said, let's go ahead and actually talk about all the portfolio stuff. Now, before we get into what to put in your portfolio, I think a good question to ask also is, what do you use? Whenever I think of free options for portfolios, really the main ones I'm thinking of are the simple ones, like for, at the top level, you have social media. These right here, this right here is probably your easiest one because a lot of you probably are already using this, right? So social media can include everything from IG, ArtStation is a good one. I would say Twitter or X can be a good one, but because it's more thread based, it's a little bit harder to kind of just peruse through things, I think. I know there's like a image section, but overall, I would say look for sites that allow you to get a clear kind of look and view of everything. Someone in the chat also said DeviantArt. I think DeviantArt as well. I personally don't use it, but websites where you can basically look at everything, right? And then from everything be able to click and be like, oh, okay, I like this one. Let me click more, right? Or having the ability to scroll. So personally, I think these are some nice kind of easy ways to get into things. Kara is another option. I'm just trying to think of all the ones here. You know, I'm sure you guys can know some of these, etc. Right? A lot of these options again are free because these are easy to use. There's no paywall on these, and you might already be using these. So this is like entry level, right? This is like level 0. This is not hard to do, right? Okay, now maybe let's talk about a little bit of the downsides of this, right? So some of the downsides, for example, of using social media is it can be a little tricky to, for example, give additional context. There might be restrictions on the resolution quality for certain images. I know, for example, with Instagram or some of these platforms, if you have something that's maybe not safe for work, or maybe you have NDA, right? All of these things that are maybe a little bit dangerous to post for public stuff, then something like using social media might not be an option for you. So there are limitations to social media amongst many other options, but let's keep it at that. The next option I would say probably are some of the more free like website options. I would say doing a nice Google search on building a website and a free website could be a good one. But I know Canva is one. If you have if you have like the Adobe suite already, because maybe some of you use Photoshop and stuff, Adobe actually has something called Adobe Portfolio, right? You can even use, I think Framer is another option there, right? There's a couple of various websites that will give you the free option to create a what's it called? Stuff to post, right? Pictures and all that stuff. Somebody said Card as well, right? These I don't know, but I'm a trust. Some of these options usually are going to be free, but there might be some catches, right? Maybe you have to either pay for the full feature, or you had to pay to have your own specific URL link, or you have to maybe you have a limitation on how much you can do, right? So there's all of these things that end up having some sort of restrictions, but there are a couple options out there. These are some of the ones you can look at. So like, for example, Adobe Portfolio is only free. This is kind of weird how they say this, but it's only free if you already have Adobe Suite, right? Like if you're already paying for Adobe products, you basically get Adobe Portfolio for free. Another free option, if you're really tech savvy, is you could always build your own website, and then you can deploy that, and then that way you can have that be accessible on the internet as well. But this, I would say, we're not even going to talk about because that seems like a pretty high barrier of entry, right? So again, I'm not an expert on all of these various options, and today the one that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is actually Adobe Portfolio because it's the one that I've used in the past. It's pretty easy to use, but again, the downside is that you do kind of have to pay for it. Now, I will say, I'm not sponsored, by the way. This is not an Adobe sponsorship. This is just kind of what we're using today, but we could have used other stuff as well, right? Now, for Adobe, I will say what's kind of convenient is if you don't pay for the Adobe Suite, I do believe it's $10 a month, which is roughly the range for a lot of these websites. It's somewhere between the $5 to $10 range. Really up to you, again, what your budget is, but think again, there are free options and there are limits on some of these. So if you guys are not looking to add stuff like a private section, right, a password protected section and stuff, consider just looking at some of these free options. So with all that being said, let's talk about what you should include. Now, again, the way that I like to think about it is first, you want to ask the big question, which is effectively, if you want to know what to put in your portfolio, you got to put in here, who is looking at my stuff? This is supposed to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson, okay? But who's looking at it, right? Because when you think about it that way, then you're going to have a better idea of what you want to put in. And you might be wondering, Kaycem, why do I have to care, right? Why do I have to care about who's looking at my stuff? Well, that's the whole point of a portfolio, right? The whole point of a portfolio is you showing a catered view, right? A curated view of your work. So again, we go back to those three things that I mentioned, whether that's for personal, right? Maybe these are just your friends, your peers, maybe just yourself even, because sometimes it's just you. There's like the academic route, and then there is the professional route. All of these are going to have different ones. So for the personal one, again, this is really up to you. It's who is looking at your stuff. And this could be your sketches. It could be your notes. It could be your drawings. It can be a photo dump of stuff. It's really however you want to present it. So I'm not going to talk too much about the personal stuff because I think, again, this is like you do you category, right? You do you, fam. This one, though, the academic one, usually what I would say is to research, right? If schools are going to be looking at your stuff, what do? You look at what schools want, right? So usually if you're applying for an art school, they'll tell you what they're looking for. Sometimes what they'll look for is figure drawing stuff. Maybe sometimes they'll look for like life drawings. If you're applying for like some schools in like the East Coast, they always ask for a bike. I don't know why. I think it's because bikes maybe are a little complex. They're like somewhat organic, but then they're also very mechanical in nature. Exploration of mediums, that's a great one. That's what they're looking for, right? They want to see that you're exploring. So we got here academic. There's a lot of options, but really the main thing is you just want to look at what schools. What are schools looking for? Now, when it comes to professional, again, you want to think about who your clients are, because in this case, this is going to be the case where people want to know if they should pay you. They're paying you for your skill. They're paying you for your services. And so they want to know if they are going to get what they're paying for. If you are applying for, let's say, animation, right? What you want to do is you want to know, what are people doing in animation that I need to be doing? And how do I put that in my portfolio? So let's actually do an example together. I want to show you my process here of how I'm looking for artists, because effectively, if you want to know what to put in your portfolio, the best thing you can do is to find other artists. And actually here, I did it pretty quickly in a quick, easy search. Basically, all I did was I looked up Legend of Vox Machina character art, right? I scrolled through here, and mind you, I know the artist who worked on this, but I'm trying to assume here I don't know who's working on the show. So I'm trying to do it from the perspective of someone here who's trying to figure out, right? So maybe you want to work for Legends of Vox Machina. And so I'm going to type here Legend of Vox Machina character art, right? And then from there, I clicked on this link, ArtStation Magazine, Titmouse, The Legend of Vox Machina Art Blast. And look at this. They have a whole little blurb here, but they actually list off a bunch of artists. They list off Arthur Loftus, who's an art director. They got some BG on here, right? Let's go scroll down. We have here some storyboards from Servan Castillo. Okay. We have here some character design, perfect, from Bertrand Tedesco. Okay. Color design from Ashley Stoddard. So you can kind of see here there's already a bunch of artists, right? But let's go grab that character artist because we're looking for character art, right? So Bertrand Tedesco. So let me go ahead and do a quick search. So I basically looked up Bertrand Tedesco, typed in portfolio, pretty simple search. And we have here some stuff from ArtStation. Okay. Not a lot, but that's okay, right? But we get here a good view of some of their work. Again, ArtStation is one of the many options that you can use for creating a portfolio. And you'll notice here, even just from these examples, look at how they're presenting their work, right? So for them, they are working already in the industry, so they have this option. but they're doing turnarounds or doing various color options. They're doing close-ups on the face. They're doing it without the SFX, or sorry, the VFX. And so you have all of these, right? And you can kind of scroll through them. They also use Tumblr as a form of their portfolio. So maybe this is more of their casual posts and stuff. But then they also have Instagram, right? So they have an Instagram here. And sometimes what they'll have also is a link, right? They'll have a link to certain stuff. So perfect, here it is, right? So they're actually using Tumblr as their main source. So they have here their info: Bertrand Tedesco, lead character designer, visual development artist based in Los Angeles. They even have their resume. So if you guys are looking for that, I might as well link them because we're doing the search now, right? Here you go. Look at this. We've pretty easily found somebody's portfolio. And from here, the whole goal is to just look and see what they are doing, right? How are they presenting their work? So maybe let's take a look here at this one. When you click on Vox Machina and you click on character design, they posted a lineup of the characters, right? You have a little bit of a description here. So this is just how you take a look at stuff. But now the question is, what are they presenting? And this is where we need to understand what are the skills required of a character, in this case, a character designer. So what I would recommend for those of you doing something similar is you look at a couple of the other options as well. So here's one person's art, but look at other portfolios and try to see what the similarities are. I'm going to tell you now because I work as a character designer, so I'll give you the tea. But if you want to do background design, for example, if you want to do character concept art or viz dev for games, do the same process. Okay, so like this video is not just for animation portfolio, but it's for all portfolios. But do this process, and then and then apply it to whatever field. But let's take a look at what they have here and what gives me a good, clear indicator that they know what they're doing. We got here varied body shapes. Okay, we got here proportions, variety. That's effectively what I'm looking for, right? We're looking here for variety. So this picture right here tells me that this artist can draw many different things. They can draw old people. They can draw short old people. They can draw orc-like people. They can draw female characters. They can draw short female characters. They can draw different types of clothing, right? Different builds. Some are a little bit big, some are a little bit small, some are a little bit lean, but there's a variety. And on top of that, there's a consistency, right? So this is variety, but across this variety, there's still consistency in this style. And so this is huge, right? From a studio perspective, I look at this and I think, okay, great. They can design any character that I throw at them, right? Based off of this. Here, we have some other options, right? Again, more of an extension of that idea. Not only now do we have different variety, but we're also looking at different clothing, right? So here is more of a fantasy setting, but on this one, they have maybe more of a kind of high fantasy, ballroom type of situation here, medieval European style. And there's a good variety, but also what they do here that I like is gesture. They have gesture, right? And so what they're doing is they're giving context to the character by providing that additional gesture. And that goes a long way. So those two alone are pretty clear. This one is variety. This one right here, I would say it's giving you variation. So so I think variations and variety are a little different, right? So going back here, this one is like, hey, I can create different types of characters, right? But in this one, this is like, hey, I can design one character and give you different options. So in this one right here, we're getting some variations, which I like. Here, this is a fun one. If you want to work, for example, on an action show, it'll be really common to have to draw some sort of damage, right? In this case, this is pretty extreme gore, but not all shows are going to be like this. But if you're doing an action show, chances are your characters are going to get scuffed up. And so here, this artist, Bertrand, they're showing you, hey, I also know how to do this, right? If you want me to work on an action show, I can draw battle damage. And I love that. And you can see here the work of the innards. You can see the blood splatter, but also different types of damage, right? This one here looks more like it's a chop, like a hacha, and this one looks more like a like a shot of some sort. So different variety here. And then take a look at this. The next one, beautiful. They have here a crowd shot. When you're working in animation, somebody always has to draw everything, right? Everything you see in 2D animation, something is being drawn. And sometimes as a character designer, you have to also be tasked with drawing a crowd view like this, right? And so this person, again, Bertrand, is really just showing the full gamut of what they do. They're showing everything that a studio could possibly be looking for. And notice how they don't add too much, right? They're not trying to add too much fluff with everything. They kind of keep it nice and simple. So this is called a crowd shot, very valuable. They show you here how the shadow is applied, right? So you have here the image, and then you also have the actual, once you overlay some of that background and stuff, and then they'll add here the lighting, right? Because lighting is also something that we're responsible for as well too. So you'd be surprised, right? You might think character designers, oh, all we're doing is drawing character lineups, but no, we have to do stuff like this as well. Next up, we have this. So they can design creatures, but more than that, they can also do turnarounds. Not only they're like, hey, I can draw crazy monster character creature designs, but also I can give it to you in side view, front view, back view, right? And that is huge. That is huge because this kind of stuff will tell the person seeing this, they're like, oh, okay. Because realistically, drawing humans in back view and doing a turn, not too hard. This though is a lot harder. And so they're really showing you that they can do turnarounds. So if they can do this, they can do humans, right? So they're very strategic here with what they're sharing. This one I think is more of like, I like how they're showing, again, some turns, but they're also showing, in this case, I would call these special poses in some ways, right? They're showing this creature design, but they're showing it in action, how they're moving. Here they're showing some variety, which is cool. Here they're even showing a little bit of VFX, right? They want to show like, okay, I can do this as well. This one's more of a special thing. I've done a few SFX type of stuff, but usually someone else does this. But again, impressive that they do this. But hopefully you guys get the point, right? They have here a good set of things that they have. There you go. Let me see if I have some other examples saved in the vault here. We'll do one more, and then we'll actually start building our building a portfolio from scratch as well too. This one's by Ainsworth Lynn, who I think I had the pleasure of working with very briefly. But you'll notice here how they have some of the benefits of having your own website of some sort is you have this navigation, right? So you have here the ability to go and click through a lot of things, and you have a little bit more control. So here they have a homepage, which is great because you get to see a little bit of everything that they're doing. They have character designs. They have a couple projects. They even have some concept art. But let's just focus on character design for now, right? Look at the different variety again. So pay attention to the similarities here that we're seeing, right? Variety. Okay, what else do they have here? They have here turnarounds. Oh, what a shocker, right? They have here mouth charts. So that's a new one that we didn't see in the other one. Mouth charts are also a common thing that you're gonna have to do. So that's cool. They have here expressions, variety, concept art variety here. Dynamic poses. That's one that I haven't really written down yet. And here's some clothing options too, right? So clothing variations. We'll call these redresses. But you'll see here how there's a couple options of what you can look for when you're looking at portfolios. I'll do a quick skim through. I love these expressions, but let's do Katie. Katie from Castlevania. Katie's crazy. And here is an example of a layout that Katie does where it's more in line with what you would see from an actual production, right? And if there's anything that I want you to pay attention to with some of Katie's work, which by the way is crazy good, is look at the formatting too, right? Something we haven't really talked about is how to present your work. And so here's a good example of somebody who is presenting their work in the way that a studio would already work in that process, right? So some of these designs here, you have the turnarounds, you have the separation there for the hands. You have the eyes and the mouth callouts. Look at this concept design right here, design detail. Like, this is crazy. They have the cross weaving, very nice technique. So anyways, these are some examples, expressions, right? Turns, shadows. We need to understand who is looking at our work, and again, answering the big question, can you do the job? This applies, again, not only to character design for animation or studios, but even clients. If you're a freelance artist, right, and you want people to know that, hey, I know how to draw a particular type of character, I know how to draw characters for your game or whatever have you, you know, commission work and all that stuff, you got to think about it the same way. And so what better way, if you can't ask the studios, how about you look at some of the projects and the stuff that you care about, see what they're doing, and then from that, that'll help hopefully give you an idea of what you need to do moving forward. So that's how you figure out here, can you do the job? But also, I think it asks you an important question, which is, what do you want to do? So let's say you want to work in the industry. This is a common question I've gotten a couple times actually, which is, oh, Kaycem, should I like show all the different art styles that I like to do, or should I focus on one? Like, what do you think is the best approach? My personal take for this is, again, you're looking to present yourself as somebody who can do professional work. If you can do different art styles at the same quality as all the other ones, right, then it's completely fine. Oftentimes, as you work as an artist and as a professional, you will naturally have a lot of different styles, right? You'll work on different shows. Different shows, we're going to ask you for different things. And so naturally, all of these things will apply. But I would say, personally speaking, pick a show, a movie, a game, whatever have you that you imagine you want to work in. Like, let's say you want to work on Riot Games, right? Focus on that and focus on creating stuff as if you were already working for Riot Games. So we've answered the question of what you want to include. Let's talk a little bit about actually creating stuff and presenting stuff for your portfolio. So let's take a look now at some of my own work, right? I've kind of prepared some stuff here that I've done with you guys for Drawn in Dungeons. Now, what I like to do is, if I'm working on a series of things, right? Like maybe it's a character design that has multiple stuff, right? Any of you who've done my 6-week challenges or my 8-week challenges, you basically already have something. This is me training you guys to be able to finally build this. But what I like to do is I like to just have a layout of some sort that makes it look and feel professional. Now, I've seen many different options for this, and I've seen a lot of, for example, concept artists get really creative. But for me, I'm a simple guy, and so I like to just use a base template that is similar to what I've seen for, for animation, for character design. But basically what I like to do is I like to create a couple of backgrounds here, and then I like to just put in a logo, right? Presentation is so key oftentimes, right? It's like, I could have simply just done this. I'll show you guys, right? I could have just done this. And this looks cool, right? This is fine. This is a character turnaround. It looks solid. But when you slap on, boom, right? Let's put a little bit of a BG behind it to make those colors a bit more balanced. Put a logo on there, and I didn't even add text yet, but you'll kind of notice how when you start putting it here, it feels more professional. It looks like you're looking at an actual production for a show, which is, again, you want to give the viewer the feeling like they could hire you today. And so in this one right here, what is the goal that I'm trying to showcase? That I can do character turnarounds, right? That's the main thing. Character turnarounds is what I want to be able to show here. And I guess a little bit of old people. I want to show I can draw an elderly character. So that's one example. The next example right here is something called a special pose. Sometimes for different types of studios, you'll have to do something called special poses. I guess you can call them keyframes in a way. So it depends on what type of animation production pipeline you're in. This is getting into the weeds of things. But if you work, for example, in Western animation, right? Let's say you work for Netflix or whatever have you. Character designers are sometimes tasked with drawing the keyframes. And so what's important here, and I'll try to do it like this So when you're creating a shot like this, right, there might be a, usually it's a 16:9 resolution because that's how most TVs are nowadays. But there's going to be a 16:9 shot like this. And so we're going to put that bounding box in there. This just helps the viewer know, like, okay, when we're looking at this shot, we're going to have everything, right? We're going to have this whole pose that we're going to have to draw. But the frame that's only relevant is going to be the one that's in red, right? Sometimes also what they might do is they might do like an arrow as well too, but that's usually just for animators and stuff. But this would be like a keyframe that you would provide, right? Usually what these are called are special poses. This is the bounding box, but you do have to draw everything. Because sometimes in an animation, I'm sure you guys have seen this, right? Sometimes you zoom in on a character, right? So the character, you're looking at the character and then like they're zooming in, or they're zooming, I guess they're zooming away or zooming closer, whatever have you. So we're showing here something called a special pose. Can you draw your character in different scenes? So there you go. We have that one. So this one right here, the goal is, well, we have here a character turnaround for concept art, but something new that I'm adding here is a little bit of a prop design, right? I'm showing the character front view, back view, and something to keep in mind that maybe you're noticing as a common theme here is if you want to draw and work as a character designer, guys, you have to be able to draw the back view. The back view of a character is just as important as the front view. But anyways, so here's an example that I wanted to show that I wanted to just put props in, right? So, hey, I also know how to draw props. I don't want to work as a prop artist. So I don't want to put too much detail, but just showing them that, hey, I know what it means. If you're drawing a character and they have a prop design, here is the call out, right? Here's the call out for that prop. Sometimes what people will do too, if you really want to make it look professional, and I guess we might as well, is you can also bind these like that too as well, and you can put them in a little bounding box. Like, hey, this is a call out for this weapon right here, separate weapon. All right, it's all presentation that you want people to know that, hey, even if I am not a professional, I can do professional work, right? And I want you guys to watch this video, and after you watch this video, you feel like, okay, I can do this, right? Because Kaycem is dropping the secrets. Kaycem is dropping the knowledge. Mind you, these were things I didn't know when I first started out, right? I had to kind of do all the exploration. I had to figure all this stuff. I had to ask people. I had to talk to people. I had to socialize and network. But you guys can just watch my videos. Easy peasy. All right. And then here's another example of variety, right? So again, some of you who've been watching my streams, these characters might already be familiar to you, but we got some variety. Look at that. So we don't we want to show people we can draw different types of characters, right? We got here a female character now. We have here a short little kid goblin character. So we have like male teenage character, we have female character, we got a goblin character, we got elderly characters. And so honestly, just from these alone, we get a good variety. Do you guys get what I'm saying here? So this one right here, we get the expression sheet and showing viewers, hey, or showing the audience, hey, I can draw characters, but I can also do expressions for them, right? So what are the things that we're hitting here? We're hitting here the turnarounds, we're hitting the special poses, we're hitting the props, we're hitting variety, we're hitting more of a concept art viz dev thing, and we're hitting expressions. And these are just some of the examples that I have. There's a lot more other examples on my portfolio, but I wanted just to build off of these for now, right? Build off of these for now so that you guys get an idea of some of the baseline of what I'm looking for. And again, we call back to this, right? So for those of you watching this as a video, go back and look at some of the list of things here that you might want to include. Because I am a professional, I do have the perk of having a private section of some of my, studio work that I've done. If you guys want to add that in, right? Let's say you do currently work professionally or you work for a client and stuff, just to be safe, okay? I'm not a legal advisor here, but just to be safe, I would highly recommend you check in with the studio or the clients and just double check that they are okay with you putting your stuff in a private section of a portfolio. Okay, but now let's take a look at actually let's put all of this first. I'm gonna send this to my Discord, and then we'll hop over to Adobe Portfolio and actually slap on these things together. Somebody's actually asking, do you recommend promoting your art on LinkedIn? Oh, that's a great question. Actually, yes, 100%. And the reason why is because artists might not use LinkedIn, but recruiters do, and studios do. And here's the thing. This is, oh man, this is something that I have been coming to terms with and learning more about recently. But sometimes, guys, you have to think about who your audience is, right? Like, if your audience is just other artists, but you want to work professionally, you're kind of missing out here, right? You're missing out on this opportunity to get your work seen by other people. Alrighty, so let's get into talking about building your portfolio. Again, we're going to be using Adobe Portfolio, but mind you that you could use anything. When you first start off by using Adobe Portfolio, it gives you a bunch of options here for different themes. I'm going to go with Mercedes because I think it's a simple one. So we're going to click super simple, right? Just click use theme. It's going to generate here a page for you. You can use whatever name you want. I'm going to change this one to Kaycem because that's what we are. And then we have here work, contact, and all of that stuff, right? But anyways, we have here, this is nice, easy template. We have your work, contact info. I'm just going to build a new custom page here. Nice and simple. Bada bing. Bada boom. And we're going to call this one, for me, I'm going to call this public. And so here we have here a page, super simple. And all you got to do is actually just add stuff to it. It's actually not that hard. So maybe let's put in here, I want to put in first. So we're going to do Drawn in Dungeons, and let's make it, I guess the font's okay, but I'm going to make it bigger, like 35, like 40. So we're going to do that. And then what I'm going to do now is let's call this personal Drawn in Dungeons. So I like to label my sections whenever I'm doing my portfolio. So here's like personal work, Drawn in Dungeons. And then let's add some images here, right? So we're going to start off by maybe doing, I want the first thing that people see to be a strong one. So maybe what we'll do is we'll start with Johnny here. And so the ordering also matters because when people are looking at your stuff, right? When they're looking at your art, oftentimes people are going to be skimming through these things. And so you want to consider that as well when you are adding in your stuff. But here we're going to add just another one. And then you can notice how you can just keep adding. You can add more. I think you can add one more. Maybe not. You can only add two, but that's fine. So we'll go down here. We'll add more. And effectively, there's even options to do a photo grid. So it's really up to you. But other things you can do as well is you can also add, I believe, descriptions for these. So if you're using Adobe Portfolio, you can add a caption so that when people click on it, I'll say Johnny is a baddie for real on God. We'll put that there. So there's a caption there. So then when you preview this, by the way, because you can preview it, you can see there's a caption. Wow, that's cool. And then when you click on it, you can also zoom in like this, right? Whoa, so people can like really, they're like, I really want to look at this piece of art that you got here. I want to look at all the mistakes you made. Brother, ew, look at the mistakes. Not really, but you know, you get what I'm saying. So already we can preview what we've got. We'll go back to editing here. And I guess the reason also why I do like having a website, like for example, Adobe Portfolio, Framer, and all that, is that when you do preview, they also show you how your stuff will look like on different devices. This is going to be helpful because imagine you spend all this hard work to lay out your stuff just for it to look like garbage on mobile, right? On web, people are like, wow, this is such a beautiful portfolio. And then when you click on mobile, you can't see anything. You don't want that, right? So this is the benefit of paying for a website or something like that, because it does help you take care of some of those issues. But again, there's a lot of free options. And if you're especially going with the social media route, you'll be okay. So just keep that in mind. But there you go. So now we have here personal Drawn in Dungeons. I think this is okay. And then what we can do is we can just add another section. So what is our goal again with creating the portfolio? The goal for me is I want to showcase all the different skills, all the different techniques and stuff that would be required of a character designer. From there, being able to just to show the limited amount of stuff. I have done a lot of other drawings for Drawn in Dungeons, from the sketches to the other turnarounds to the different color variations. And so you can add those things too if you want to, right? But it's really up to you. And you got to think again, who is your audience? Who are you trying to tailor your stuff to? Okay. But this already, in my take, right? This is already a good start for a portfolio. Because even if this is all you had, this already goes into showing, again, a good number of the core skills, right? It goes through showing all the core skills that you would need as a character designer. Now, there's a lot more, I would say, that you would want to add, ideally, from here. I think from there, this is a good place to start. Now, other things that you want to add, you want to make sure you add this, okay? This is probably such important information that I feel like people tend to leave behind, is you want to add on your portfolio your contact information. I feel like this is so important. Okay, this is so important to add contact information because oftentimes people forget, right? You have this beautiful work and stuff, but then people don't know how to reach you. So make sure you can either add your social icons, you can add an email button, you can put a text, right? Like email, put your contact info. I have done so many reviews of people's portfolios at Lightbox, in person, or even from the community. And I kid you not, the number of portfolios I've seen where there is zero contact information is crazy. It is a sin. It is an art sin, man. Like if I see good work and I don't know how to contact you, you're gone, buddy. You're lost in the void. Basically, the idea here is you want to put in some of your most recent work, some of your best work, and also the work that showcases your skills, right? Some of your skill sets here. And then from there, you can add more. What's really cool about using, again, a website platform is when you do add, let's say, a page. Let's add another page here. We'll call this one the private page, all right? I believe I can make this one private. Okay, you get it, right? You can put a password here. For now, I'm just going to put password. Don't ever do this, okay? That's not good. But basically, by adding by adding here a password, and if you preview it, you know what? I think it's because it's my site, so I don't have to put the password in. But if I made this public, like an actual publish the site, I think we'd be okay. I think it would make it private and it would give you a password basically. So this is like the kind of stuff you want, right? Like public work, private, and all of that stuff. But with that being said, I think hopefully this gives you a good idea of how to build out a portfolio. From here, all you got to do is click publish the site. And again, this will vary. Some websites will give you the free option, though they might have restrictions or stuff. For the case of Adobe Portfolio, if you already have Creative Cloud because you use Photoshop or for whatever reason, this should be free, which is weird. I put a big asterisk there. But again, there are many other options. And then what you could also do is if you want to be really fancy and legit, you can buy a domain either through Adobe or whatever have you, and then you can put your website name on there. So maybe for somebody, it might be awesome character designer at .com, right? Or what's cool is they also give you a default. So if you don't want to purchase a domain, they give you one, and you can just make this kaycem.myportfolio.com, right? So it's super simple, and all you got to do is click publish, and that's it. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys my old portfolio. This is the portfolio that got me my first job. And maybe we'll do a compare and contrast from looking at my old work and some of my new work. And some of this I will add onto my portfolio because I think some of it is still strong, but you know, I don't want to add too much. We're going to be adding less. But anyways, guys, let's take a look now at my old portfolio and we'll do a quick little light roast, all right? It's not a roasting stream, but okay. So this is my old portfolio, Kaycem, character designer and Twitch art streamer. I don't know why I needed to put that, but I think I could just put Kaycem character designer. That's completely fine. But here we have two sections. We have character design and we have illustrations, right? So I'm breaking it up because I'm a character designer, but if you want to see my fun illustrative work, there you go. So this is my old portfolio, mind you, right? And so as you can see, I have here a project, which is a freelance project that I worked on called Mycelium. And here we have a couple character sheets with expressions, eye call outs, clothing variations like so, and then also color, right? So we've talked about this a couple times on my stream, but we have here some of that. And then we have here 3 different types of characters, right? We have here some turnarounds as well for the character. So again, some of the things that I'm calling out, right, that I am mentioning to you guys is that I did some freelance work also for AMD Ryzen. So this is before I got into the industry, but here's another character sheet, right? Another example of, again, a character sheet with some expressions and some special poses, some turnarounds, and then some variety of different concepts that I was thinking about for this character. And then on top of that, I also did some other stuff here. So again, just showing different style, showing different concepts. And then I threw on here some fun little character redesigns, designing Lilo and Stitch. So Stitch, The Last of Us, and then my dog. And then here we have some miscellaneous studies that I did, some just clothing studies that I like. So you can put in a lot of different stuff, right? You can put in a lot of different variety on here. But the main thing is you want to keep your portfolio light. I would say the good sweet spot range is 10 to 20. 10 to 20 art pieces in your portfolio. You don't need any more than that, I think, personally. Any more than that, and I think it just starts to get a little too much, right? Because again, the whole point of this portfolio is not to show everything you've done, but to really show whoever's looking at it that you can do the work that they want, right? And something to keep in mind also is that oftentimes recruiters or studios or hiring managers or directors, they don't have a lot of time. They probably are looking through dozens, if not hundreds of portfolios on a regular basis. And so look, I have seen this myself where I have waited in line to go chat with the recruiter, right? I wait like 10 minutes. I give them my portfolio, my iPad, and they go like this. Cool. Okay. Yeah, thanks for chatting. I'm going to take your email info and we'll keep in touch. Like, yo, sometimes it's that quick. Okay. And so realistically, when people only have a few seconds to look at your work, what do you want to show them? What do you want to let them know? And then I have your illustration stuff, which is like old illustration art and tutorial stuff that I've done. And so I might bring back some of these. Let's talk a little bit. I guess I'll do a little bit of a roast of things that I would change, or maybe I would not include in my portfolio. I think this one actually is pretty solid and sound. The only thing I don't like is the shading is not that good. At least I can shade better now, but I will say that the shading on this one, it feels too static in my perspective. So I would probably change this and redesign this a little bit now if I were to do this again. The clothing variation is cool. I do like how we get to see a lot of redresses of this character, so I would keep that. Different hair designs as well is nice. And then here we have the color variations, not as important. Actually, color variation, I find oftentimes if you're doing viz dev or concept art, that is okay to put, but usually in an animation production, usually someone is doing different variations for color. Here's a tip. Oftentimes people will look at your portfolio and will judge you based off of the worst thing that is on your portfolio. So what does that mean exactly? Because you're like, damn, Kaycem, wait a minute, bro. They're looking for my bad art? I guess I'm just not putting anything in my portfolio. But let me explain what this means, okay? when someone is looking at your portfolio and they're trying to see like your worst work, what they want to know is on a bad day when you are not in the zone, because let's be real, we as artists, put an F in the chat, we're not always 100% when we create, right? It's just the reality of it. And so they want to know, hey, if we're going to hire this person, even if they're performing at 50%, what is the baseline that they can do, right? What is like their worst work effectively? My worst work is probably this one. And the reason why is I feel like it's a little stiff. Proportionally, some of it feels very off. The torso seems a little big compared to the leg. Like the leg feels kind of small in comparison. The arms kind of feel blocky, but not in a way that I like. And there's also some inconsistencies with the character corrections or the character expressions, and they don't feel on model. So I would probably not put this on my new portfolio because when I look at this, it does not look good to me. And I'm being critical with myself. It feels flat. It feels not proportioned. It's not consistent. It's kind of lacking. But anyways, that is, I think, the demo for today. And so first and foremost, if you are looking to build a portfolio for whatever reason that may be, the first important thing to ask yourself is, why do you need a portfolio and who will be looking at your portfolio? Step number one. Then step number two is to look at all the various options out there. Again, there are many options that are not just, websites like the ones we use today, but you can use social media. You can use Tumblr, you can use Instagram, you can use ArtStation, or you can try to build your own if you're really savvy with all that stuff. And then once you're there, think again about what do you want to put in your portfolio and who is your audience. I cannot emphasize enough. This is probably the most important thing. People always ask me, Kaycem, should I put this? Should I put this sketches or should I do this? And the answer is, well, who are you trying to show it to, right? And is it important for them to see? If it's not important for them to see it, or if you can show it through other work, try not to be redundant, right? And then last but not least, some final tips for those of you who are watching. Make sure to include your contact info. That is so important. Only include your best work on there. And by association to that, I would say only include your most recent work, right? I have seen portfolios where people will show me their stuff and they'll be like, oh, I have all this. And then I have this one thing from like 2017 that I really liked. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not hiring 2017 you, I'm hiring the you today, right? The you now. So like, let it go. Okay. You might not see the improvements you've made. Let it go. All right. Make new stuff. And then the last thing I'm going to share is how do you actually get the job, right? Because people, somebody mentioned on YouTube, somebody said, hey, Kaycem, I've been trying to apply for animation studios, but they're only looking for recent graduates, 6 months who are out of college and stuff. What do I do? Well, here's what you can do. I'm going to give you some advice, all right? And this is just some personal advice that has worked for me. Once you have a portfolio in place, effectively, and if you've followed the steps I've provided here, what you've effectively done is found a way not only to create a portfolio that will present you as an artist, but you've also done the research, right? You've looked into studios, you've looked into artists who work for these studios. What I would say is get in contact with these people, right? Go on social media and find some of these people, maybe follow some of their work, leave some comments, maybe share some drawings or stuff inspired by some of these other artists. Or if you're on places like LinkedIn, look for these recruiters, look for them in all the listings and message them directly. Email them that you're genuinely interested in working on a project. Obviously be nice about it and then share your portfolio, right? Because now you have something to share. But before, if you were just reaching out to people, but you didn't have something to show, what are they supposed to look at, right? So I would highly recommend you do that. Honestly, this might sound crazy, but all the jobs I've gotten were not from me applying. And I don't know what the statistic is for people who apply cold turkey for a job and send their resume in, but I have found that it's never worked for me. The ways that I have gotten a job is by sharing my work to people and building genuine connections so that they feel like, oh, wait a minute, this guy Kaycem, he's pretty good as an artist and I feel like he'd be fun to work with. Let's test him. Let's give him a little art test of some sort, right? But again, if you guys found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for future videos as well. Oh, also, if you want a video on networking, I believe I'll have a video already, so you can check out the video on networking as well. But anyways, thanks again, happy drawings, and I'll catch you next time. Peace!